All righty, everyone. Welcome back to episode 40 of the Coaches Union. Alex, it's been a little bit of time. Listeners, I'm so sorry about the delay, but we've been more than busy. Alex, how are you doing?
I'm great. Not sorry at all, guys. Been busy. No, honestly, the coolest thing is going to shows and like people talking about how they listen to us on the podcast and stuff. So at the same time, thank y'all for understanding that we have been traveling and doing our actual job. But yeah, it's cool meeting people and yeah, things are good. We had battle, we had junior nats. I got to go to Universe next week. Gotta go to Huntsville the week after, so we're moving and grooving.
Yeah, we are rolling. It is such a surreal feeling, genuinely. Like anybody who takes the time to come out and come up to us and talk about the podcast. Like again, this has been just a passion project for Alex and I, and for it to kind of grow to the rate that it has, I think is dumbfounded both of us in a certain sense. But we are here to coach first and foremost. And that has been, we're in the thick of it this season. So we're going to try to stay on a consistent routine, but there are going to be some upcoming weeks where there might be some delays. We might just do 2 episodes a week to try to make up for it. But we are going to continue the 52 episodes in the year. That is the goal that we're going to stick to. We'll start from the top. Battle at the River. You had a lot of people competing that weekend. Do you want to talk about your people first?
Yeah. So we had Austin, the golden child at Battle, and then we had Brooke and Katie. So they were people that I'd picked up like 2 weeks out from another coach, just to kind of finish their prep out, finish their season out. Brooke won all her fit model classes, and then she got beaten overall. Katie won all her bikini classes, got beaten overall. But very good, like both first timers. It was, yeah, I mean, I was with you in the Airbnb for the majority of the time. It was just a lot. Like I remember at one point, dude, like we would get done training like Friday, like, we'd be done 5:30, get home, start cooking food, and then I would just open an energy drink and just like keep working. Because like, Katie was in Iowa, and then Brooke is in Texas. And so, like, they were competing an hour behind us, and then we were obviously an hour ahead. Stage times were all different. So, like, it was just a lot going on, but, you know, nailed it. Austin won, the overall. Um, that was probably it wasn't one of the hardest peaks, but it was one of the most stressful peaks that week because we went into peak week like 6 pounds over the heavyweight cap. And just each day he just dropped weight, dropped weight, dropped weight. And we woke up Friday right at 225, which is the weight cap. So like at that point, it's just like I'm just on like at every meal, every decision matters. And then when you're dealing with that, he also still needs to be fuller, but you can't get him fuller until he makes the weight. And then, so it's just a lot of variables you're having to go on. I just remember like, it was like 10 p.m. on Friday, and I just remember like I was so like just doing my thing, listening to music. I was like, man, like I feel like Tony Stark when he's at his computer, like just moving things. I was like, it's genuinely how I felt. And in my head, I felt like that. But um and then I remember at one point I took my headphones out and like how quiet the room was. Like, I mean, we had like 7 people in our Airbnb at that time. And I was like, this is fuck that. Like, I was like, this is shit. And I'm just like vibing. But I was talking to a guy earlier today, like how to keep focused throughout a peak week. And it's stuff like that that truly helps. And like when you're on, you're on. And God, when Austin came out, like that was I
uh,
didn't expect it, I'll be honest.
yeah, dude. It was, I don't know if I've ever gotten so emotional to see someone on stage in my entire life.
Yeah, so we had strategically, because it was only a second, bodybuilding show in the NPC. So we strategically had him do the novice class just to warm up for the open class. Because as the kid gets better, as the kid poses, he gets better. So it's just like, okay, like that's strategy. Um, and so I wasn't really like, I would be backstage with him and I'd come out and be backstage. And so The emotion side of it didn't really hit until that night for me. Um, because like all throughout the morning, I mean, dude, he was on. And like we borderline started to sweat and the morning show. I was like, oh, I think we got it. I think we got it. Like, please get him off stage. And then, but right after that, it's like you can't celebrate it yet. Like, I showed him a picture, like, yo, dude, that's what you look like. And it was like, oh my God. Like, it was that shock factor of holy shit, we just pulled it off. To then, like, okay, let's go make sure because there's a middleweight who's diced. There's, a heavyweight who's big as shit. Like, let's be sure we got it. Um, so I didn't really get the emotional part. I was proud, but it was more like I didn't get emotional until I watched his routine. That's when I started getting a little teary-eyed. Because it was Bumstead's routine. That he did it to, and like yeah, it was. But even then, like afterwards, like after he won, like he gets the hammer. Like I knew, like once you see him on stage, like oh, we got it, we got it. And then when he came out for finals and his routine, I was like, "Nope, that's it, we got it." Like there's no.
Mhm.
He was. I watched him pose, and I was like, no one's touching him in the overall. Not from it, like obviously his physique, but his charisma and like his stage presence, like he was on. And I was like, ain't nobody touching that. And so when he won it, like me and you went back there with him and like we hugged him both for like a decently long time. And you just see it on his face, like he just couldn't believe it. And I just remember being like, we'll talk about it later. And then
Yeah.
I was like, just enjoy your moment. And we just went, right, grabbed the trophy, went out and just sat in the audience. And I think at that moment, that was the best thing you could do for him because,
Mhm.
like, sometimes I feel like, coaches try to, oh, get a picture, do this, do that. Like, he needed to just like sit there and soak in what just happened
Yeah. Yeah. Because, dude, that was, I mean, it's the most incredible feat, man, and rightfully deserved. And it was a very, very stacked show. You know what I mean? It wasn't a little baby show. Like there were some heavies going into where I was like, oh shit. But then again, the second he came out, I was like, it's over. That's it.
Yeah, I remember. So I was backstage with him pumping up, and I just remember hyping him up. I was like, "Hey, man, like, yeah, these guys are bigger, they're harder, whatever, but like, you're fucking Chris Bumstead out there. Like, remember Bumstead in Prague? That's all you got to think about." Like, and sure as shit, when he went out there, I was like, "Oh my God!" Like, that's But for him, man, like, there was no. I felt like looking back on it, I was very like just stoic, like very business as usual. He won the novice class. I walked back there, grabbed his trophy, came out, and like I felt like that's the best way to carry yourself as a coach in that position, rather than the jumping up and down and the screaming and all that. It's like, no, dude, like this is business. Like my little brother's handling it, but as soon as like there was no more proud feeling than like carrying his trophies out from backstage back behind that curtain and like we just bagged that whole show like
Yeah.
no, and like it was Austin that did it, like it wasn't like it's one thing to have like a freak athlete, but like I mean I've raised the kid, I've literally coached him for 4 years.
Yeah,
And
dude.
like just watching that, man, like I'll put it to y'all this way, we didn't even get a picture together with the trophies because we were just so like just in awe of the moment, but just so like content, like that's it. Like there's nothing else to say
Yeah. Y'all did it, man. And I think that's a testament to like you need to post a transformation of where you got Austin to now. Cause dude, it is from the mud,
from them.
you
The
know.
kid was 20 years old, eating like yogurt and like Quest bars and like Um, and I remember I used to tell him all the time, man, I'd be like, dude, you're not classic. He'd be like, I'm classic, bro. I'm classic. I'm like, you're an open bodybuilder. And then sure enough, he wins his first overall as an open bodybuilder. And yeah, I mean, it was just like, it was so surreal, right? But and I remember we started to like have a moment, like an emotional, like, I don't remember when it was, sometime that night, and he was like, "Yeah, I wanted to do this, be here without you." Or I congratulated him. He's like, "No, man, it's us." And I was like, "Save it." I was like, "We'll have that moment later." Now's not the time, because we got another show in 3 weeks. We got to get ready for. So
For sure. Yeah, dude. And it was such a good weekend, man. I had Anna compete. Miss Anna has been with me for like a year and some change, and um, unfortunately, she fell into a lot of what coaching is for bikini athletes with their. She's competed before, but I want to preface that it was a situation where it was just a dieting contest. Her last coach, when she came to me, she's like, "Well, my last coach said I can't get above 125 because then I'll just be fat." She was doing like an hour of stairs 7 days a week in off season, eating like 150 grams of carbs. Like it was just everything that this isn't. Um, and so like all of last year was spent fixing her metabolic and hormonal health. And we did an off season, and it was the most muscular that I'd gotten her. And so we went into the show with high expectations, but I told her, I was like, hey, this is to me your first prep. Like I'm treating you like this is true novice because you've not really experienced the legitimate show prep. It's going to look a lot different. Like she told me her last peak weeks, she was doing like 2 hours of cardio on peak week. You know what I mean? Like she just hadn't experienced the intricacies of it. And bikini was stacked as always. And so we went in there with the hopes of at least winning, junior class, novice class, and then she did open. We ended up winning her junior class. We got second in her novice class to a girl who won her open class, and they went in the overall together. And then she won her open class, which I was elated for. So I really couldn't have asked for a better showing for our first time together. I got to be soccer mom all weekend. I love her to death, but that girl forgets everything. So that was super fun. Um, I had to work on my bedside manner a little bit, but that
Yeah.
was 3 weeks of Halo. But I digress.
That's so funny. Um, yeah, because like, and that's the thing is like, she's what, 21?
Yeah,
So like, she's done two shows before, but like, I remember telling you, I was like, bro, like, I'm so mad that like she can't do true novice. And like, honestly, she probably could have, and no one would have cared. But like, as an athlete who has been on stage before, it's kind of disrespectful to say do true novice, but like, that's where she belongs. Like she belonged in a teenage class her first time.
yeah,
Like it's tough, like when you have experience, but you did the experience completely wrong the first time. So it's like this was like the best thing for y'all from what I could see was like, she got on stage with a good physique, an improved physique. Your transformations are crazy. And then it's like now she knows what to expect, and like she's gonna run into the same thing that like I even told Austin is like, hey, anyone's gonna beat you, it's just because they're older or they have more mature muscle or whatever. But like, there's nothing you can do that day. And so now it's just a time thing. But yeah,
yeah,
watching y'all like that was really good.
yeah. I appreciate it, man. I'm really happy with it. We got another show coming, so making some improvements and refinements to the peak because I got to learn a lot about how much food she can tolerate and loading. Um, just because it's like she hit a tipping point at like 3 weeks out where it's like no matter what I gave her, she would just burn through it, which is a blessing, right? But we got to experience peak week together and kind of understand the whole idea of like you're not going to look your best on a Wednesday, right? And kind of walking through the nerves and everything around that. So I think it helped knock some pre-show jitters out leading into the second show. So I'm really excited to see what we can do in the next couple weeks.
Yeah. Um, and we're gonna go against each other hopefully in an overall. That'll be fun.
Can't
Um,
wait.
I'm, I'm not letting up, Chris. I'm just gonna let you know that right now.
I know you're not. I know you're not. Um,
It's not personal. It's what it is.
and it's just where we're at. This is the one thing we didn't want and we get.
Yeah, yeah. But it was like so for those listening, right? Like so, yeah, I've got a bikini girl doing the Greater Valley show as well. But like this was like she'd been planned on doing it since January, right? And so what you and Anna ran into is like y'all needed another show. You wanted to do another show, which she should do another show. Like she's already ready. But sometimes the timeline just like logistically doesn't work out. And so it's like, hey, we have this show right here. Why would we not do it? Like
Hmm.
outside of, oh, well, Alex has a girl in another height class. Well, that's not a good, to me, that's not a good enough reason.
Hmm.
Like, if I had a girl doing, if you had a girl originally doing a show and then I needed to put one there too, I'd be, hey man, sorry, but like it is what it is.
Yeah.
'Cause at the end of the day, you gotta do what's best for your athlete. And logistically speaking, outside of like the Tennessee State show, like there wasn't really much else there. You're going to be gone the Tennessee State show weekend, so like she doesn't need to wait till Knox. It's like, hey, let's do it, you know. So
Yeah,
giving some insight on the coaching decisions there is like, yeah, we want to keep our people separate and all that, but at the end of the day, like it's bodybuilding, and I'd rather go compete against someone good, you know, than to not compete at all.
100%. Um, Junior nationals, your turn.
Oh God, that was great, man. Like I've never been to junior nats as a fan, or excuse me, as a coach. I've only been as a fan.
Hmm.
Um, and so I really liked the guys moved very fast. That show day was very efficient. The girls took a little longer. Um, but I think it was just because I had a bikini and a wellness girl. Um, but yeah, man. So like Andrew got fourth. He stood next to a monster who won the class, and rightfully so. Like I knew Andrew was in fourth. Like you know they had him lined up in the third spot, but I was like, no, he's in fourth. He's not beating that other guy. Um, but for your first national show, that's great, right? I mean, I think there was what like 13, 15 people in his class, something like that. So like it was very respectable. It's kind of where he belongs, and we were able to see, you know, what he needs to do to improve, because that's his competition. If he goes and does any other regional show, he's probably going to win an overall. So it's like, all right, man, like this is where we're at now. You know, and same thing with my wellness girl Bailey. Our first show we did together was the Amateur Olympia. We got 14th, and then we just got third at Junior Nats. So it's 18 months between the two. You know, outside of a pro card, you can't really ask for much more. You know,
Hmm.
like I was like, that's freaking awesome. You know, anytime going into a national show, I aim for top five. Like first call out is my goal. Anything above that, I'm happy with. Obviously, the closer you get to the card, the more bitter it gets if you don't get it. But like, you know, I can't you can't argue with it. It's like, okay, I see, you know, why we didn't win. Like, would it be my cup of tea? No, but like I can understand the judge's decision, you know. So I think regardless of getting a card or not, just being in the mix is like confirmation you're close and like, hey, we need to keep going at this pace that we're on, and eventually the card's going to come.
Yeah, I think also too is Andrew's 37 years old.
Mhm. Yep.
Yeah.
So rightfully, and we talked about it. So like after that, I was like, hey man, like, you know, let's say you need to be done by 40. Like you want to have a kid, you want to get married, blah, blah, blah. You got 3 years. Like your best bet is a Masters 40 card or a Masters 35 card. Whatever we need to do, if it's an open heavyweight, if it's a class, you know, because they hided us wrong. We were class C in Denver. We were then class B. Long story short, they put us in Class C again, even though they hided us for Class B, because it was the same person who hided us in Denver, and we were like, "Hey, that's bullshit! Like, y'all told us like we were Class C, so we aimed for the Class C cap." Um,
Hmm.
so that really was like, oh shit, like it's a struggle to make 202. And so I was like, man, like we just need you to grow. Whatever happens, like we're gonna let it happen and put your body on stage the best it can be, rather than sucking you down into this weight cap. Because like
Yeah.
it's not a pretty look. And I
Mm-mm.
don't think in another year and a half we can make 202 again.
No, there's no way.
Not
There's
in
no way.
in win. There's no way.
Yeah. Yeah. I think with how dense he is, dude, I think he's going to be impeccable as an open guy for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. And you know, Masters 40, it's like, hey, like you're just gonna be a pretty structured, pretty flowy guy who's conditioned in bodybuilding. Like, why not? You know? Um, but I told him too, is like if you want to, you know, try Masters 35, well, we need to do it sooner than later. So like,
Yeah.
you know, we're not gonna be making weight much longer.
Mm-mm. No, man. I always forget he's 37 because to me, he looks like he's 32.
Yeah.
Um, he's got youth. I aspire and hope to have at 37.
Yeah. Overall, though, man, I was in Chattanooga for like forever, the last like 10 of the last 14 days. So I was starting to not need my GPS to get places, and I was like, I have to get home. So yeah, it's I'll definitely just stay because I like that combo of battle into junior nats, but I'm just gonna rent a freaking mansion or something next time and just move in for 2 weeks.
Let's do it, dude. I mean, granted, I'm moving there, so
No, okay, I'll just live with you.
let's do it. That's what I'm saying, dude. That's what I'm saying. Um, what shows we got coming up?
Universe, I've got three Masters guys next week. I fly out to New Jersey Thursday, compete Saturday, come home Sunday morning, go to Greater Tennessee Valley the following Wednesday. So Wednesday to Sunday will be in Huntsville. I've got four doing that show. Get a break, and then squad goes to Vegas. Um, Come after Vegas to Knoxville. I got two doing Knoxville. Potentially have a pro doing the Tupelo show the week after that. And I think we get a break after that. I'm not too
Mhm.
sure. Um, but yeah, what do you have?
Greater Valley, both as an athlete and as a coach, and then oh god, I gotta look at the calendar. I've got Greater Valley, potentially an OCB show in Orlando, Knox. I've got a show in Louisville, August 16th. There's a few more. I'll have to look. I got to update the calendar because it just keeps moving around. But right now I'm just kind of focused on like today,
Mhm.
and maybe tomorrow. That's where I'm at mentally.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess we can finally announce you're doing Tennessee Valley show
Yeah.
um, to qualify. Yeah, it's not a. I had somebody ask like who pissed me off in Huntsville as to why I was putting you and Austin in that show. Um, I was already going to be there. That this was Austin's original show. He was going to do. Um, he just was getting ready fast. Battle was open. I was like, yeah, we can make battle in 10 weeks. Let's do it. And then it's just something for him. He wants to be a pro. So I was like, yeah, this is what pros do. They compete once and they go compete 4 weeks later. And you know, it's just going to make you better long term. There's still some things I want to fix, you know, mentally, um, peaking. You know, there's just some things I want to see him better at. On stage. So he's going to just practice that and then go into an off season. Um, but yeah, and then obviously with you, like the plan was originally Tupelo and then North Americans. But then we got word to, hey, y'all need to go to USA's. All right, well, cool. What's the best route to go qualify? Well, let's do the show already be at. We just hop in there, get a bag and go. Just made the most sense, right? We're not going
Mhm.
to spend a ton of money traveling because that's what USA's is for.
Yeah.
And then if we have to turn around and do North Americans, that's another expense. So it's like, you know, it's not a personal thing. It's not like, oh, we're trying to sandbag this show. It's like, no, we just have to do what's right to go to the next phase. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I think it's also too. It's to provide an opportunity to really play with a peak. You know what I mean? Because we didn't really. I mean, our first year together, it wasn't optimal as far as the timeline goes that I think I set in place and you abided by, which I thank you for. So I don't think we really had the best opportunity to like nail a peak on that one. And so I think this also just gives us an opportunity. Like I drive 2 hours down the road, we get there Wednesday, it'll be chill. Like I think it's going to be really, really good. And also for me, just to knock off any pre-show jitters that might pop up because it's been almost 2 years since I've been on stage. So it's like I just want to get down there and do it. Like we have a lot of people from the team coming. It's just like my parents are coming. It just logistically it makes the most sense. Versus if I was to go do Tupelo, I'd be rolling by myself, and that's just not something I care to do at this point.
Yeah. And Will Wise puts on a good show. You know, Thomas does good photography. Justin Peck does
Yeah,
good photography. Like it'll be all around a great show experience, and that's what we need. But yeah, we did our little Dizide trial like to at battle the night before. So we checked the box on like, hey, a diuretic works okay with Chris. So yeah, it'll be fun to do that and obviously just be with each other. And that's how Anna got brought in to do it too. Was like, hey, we're already going to be there. Like, quit trying to do this, this, and this. Like, just come do this show.
for sure.
Yeah, it'll be fun, man.
Yeah, I'm excited, dude. I'm itching to be back on stage. Um, So we're going to kind of move into, now that we've gotten through all the updates, we're going to move into some questions. So thank you everybody who does participate every single week. First one we got, which the next two questions are going to kind of fall in the same vein. How long is too long to be in prep?
Uh, what, 6 months, 7 months?
Yeah, I'd say 6, 7 months. I think it also depends on the individual, right? I think males, especially enhanced males, have a little bit more runway as far as like insurance policy goes with like hormones being supplemented in. I think of this more as like if I'm looking at like a natural female competitor, right? Like opposite end of the spectrum. If we're looking there, because I've seen some people recently who have their girls and like I saw one girl, she's been in prep for like 15 months, bro. Natural.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. So
But I would counter argue like, well, what are you considering a prep? Is it because your coach says you're in prep, or are you like low food, high cardio, crazy fatigue? Because like I've got a guy we've been prepping since February, um, for July, and he may turn pro next weekend and go do a pro show in August. So like, yeah, technically that's 7, 8 months, but like you're not seeing what I'm doing between the two shows since he's already ready. You know what I'm saying? So like you can't just blanket statement, oh, you can't be in prep longer than 7 months. You just have to, you have to be good at prepping and you have to have a coach who's educated on how to do that. Because like John Jewett may qualify for the O in October, but he's got to be ready at his show in August. So like you're gonna tell him, oh, you can't prep for 30 weeks? Like you can't.
no.
You're prepping for a long time, but you're not like in the suck for 30 weeks.
Yeah. My first prep was 33.
Yeah. I mean, do I feel like you've been prepping for a fucking year?
Dude, it's only been like 14 weeks.
Yeah. But like I feel like Callie's been prepping for literally a year.
Yeah.
Um, so it's just like, I don't know, like don't get caught up in like because I think that question is trying to open up like what a coach is doing wrong.
Mhm.
And yeah, if you go to a coach, well, I've been in prep for 8 months, it's like, okay, well, let's look at it. Probably, yes, they're probably doing it wrong. But like I may like, what if I have a girl who, can't turn pro at USA's and I got to send her to nationals in December? Well, yeah, she technically prepped for a year, but that's, she won't literally be prepping an entire year.
Yeah, yeah. It's like looking at it from the perspective of it's not just a downward deficit for that entirety, or it shouldn't be, right? I think it's the biggest thing is right. Because I mean, if there are diet breaks implemented and PED breaks and all these other things put in place, like that within reason is still is, I guess, ethical in a sense. But it's when it's like, hey, we start prep month one and it's a deficit for month 1 through 14 or whatever it may be. That's where I have to draw the line. I think going back to it, it's like when you have to look at someone's like menstrual health. It's like if you're seeing like a female athlete who loses their cycle and then there's 7 more months of prep to follow, like that's less than ideal, right? That's like what we want to avoid. And so it kind of falls into the next question we got, which is, setting up a season. Do we prefer having an athlete just one and done or doing 2 or 3 shows and like kind of what that looks like? Which we've answered before, but I think it's a good question to continue to bring up. And it goes back to like our strategies as coaches, especially in our case, like my case, I work with a lot of first timers. So I do need more opportunities to play with a peak and understand their body. So for me, it's also kind of discouraging to just do one show and be done, right? As an athlete, I've been there for my first season. I wish I would have done more shows following to kind of like soak it in a little bit more and be proud of what I produced. But from a coach's perspective, I need more opportunity to manipulate and master the look. So like Anna's a great example. We did one show, won an open class, really proud of that. But I was like, this can be better. I know it can be better. And I was like, I asked her, I was like, mentally, do you have gas in the tank? Do you want to keep going? She's like, yeah, let's do it. She's like, fired her up. Let's do it, dude. Like, we can make 3 more weeks work. One of those being a peak week. Like, we got 2 more weeks to dig, and then we just run it back again.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the reality of it is sometimes you need to keep going, but sometimes you need to pull them. And
Yep.
usually like the body will start to show like it's fighting back. It's not like you're running into digestive issues, you're running into sleep issues, recovery issues, and like, yeah, their body just can't make it anymore. But if you
Mhm.
do things the right way, like it's not that outlandish to do two or three shows back to back.
Mhm.
And I think that's a question we have is like, do you plan for one show or do you have two or three? And like, sometimes you do just one show and you got everything you needed, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's not uncommon to like, hey, this is the very best physique you have today. Like when Abby did North Americans, like there was nothing else we could have done that day to be any better. There's nothing else we could have done in 3 weeks and 5 weeks and 7 weeks. Like it would just be, hey, you're just going to present the same look at another show with another backdrop, or you can dress it up in another suit, or you could do your hair different. But like the physique is that's 100. That's 100. And so when you get to that point, sometimes it's like if there's nothing else to fix, or if you got a good placing, then yeah, like there's no point in going on. So
Yeah.
you may just do one show, but oftentimes you may want to perfect something. You may want to do something better. You may want to bring a different look. You may want to keep going to win something, and that's where even if you don't win, you have to look back at it and be like, well, could I have been better? And if you can't, well, then you just have to understand the best isn't good enough and you have to
Yeah.
be better. And that takes time.
Hmm. Yeah, it's the reality of it. And we got a couple questions at the end that we'll use that kind of reiterates that as well. Um, where do you draw the line of food being too low or cardio being too high in context to someone's first prep? And this is where it's really challenging to give an absolute because there's a lot of relative to this. But we will do our best to come up with some amount of an answer.
It's a tough question because the first prep's usually the hardest.
Hmm.
It's the hardest to get all the stuff off, and that's usually where the most extreme stuff's going to occur.
Hmm.
Um, as you get older and bigger and better and more muscle, the less cardio you have to do and the more food you can tolerate. But like, I'll use myself for an example. I remember I got half a cup of oats and like 80, 90 minutes of cardio. And I got MCT oil at my other meals that didn't have carbs in it. And that was my first prep.
Hmm.
Um, it just is what it is. Um, I think there is no limit. Chris, what's your cardio at right now? 75?
75.
75, and then you get 65 grams of oats for meal one, and that's your carbs for the day, right?
Yep.
Like some people may hear that and be like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. That's so high. That's such little food.
It's been worse.
It's normal. Like, that right there is normal. He's a 221 pound man. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not reckless. It's not dangerous. It is what it is. It's bodybuilding. I have let's pull up some more diets here. Um,
I'll use two kind of walking through my, um, I guess, stats when it comes to preps. My first prep was 33 weeks. The last 6 weeks of it was tilapia and asparagus, 6 meals a day, 120 minutes of cardio. My second show prep season, I got up to 180 minutes of intervals and no carbs, no fats for the last 5 weeks. And then my junior nationals prep, which was an utter shit show, was Palumbo keto for the last 5 weeks and 190 minutes of stairs a day. So this prep, though 65 grams of oats and 75 minutes of cardio feels like dog ass, it's significantly better than what I've been through. Right. But then the other thing is, I signed up for this shit. So I don't care.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like so Abby get her carbs for the day is 40 grams of oats, and then she gets two rice cakes pre-training, and that's it. She's doing 80 minutes of cardio a day. Now, those listening, I do refeeds, I do de-outputs where I pull cardio completely. Like it's not just like that for the whole time, but that just shows you the extreme that you have to go to when you're 4.5 weeks out regardless of how good you are as an athlete. Like that's my best bikini girl, that's my best classic guy. Um, And it's like that's the reality of it. And so there's no limit. Like, I mean, yeah, I've heard some stupid stuff like a girl doing 2 hours and no carbs for like 8 weeks. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's stupid. That's too much. But like having spurts of like sub 1,000 calories for a girl and 90, 100, 120 minutes of cardio is not abnormal. And we've got to get out of this thing of like, fatigue management and dangerous and this, that, like, that is what it is. Like it's, if we could feed you less, if we could feed you more and make you do less, I swear to God, we would. But like sometimes we're given this timeline and it's like, hey, like you're wanting this result. Well, if this is working, then yes, we need to keep going. So, um, and just like you have people grow on not a lot of food. Yeah,
Hmm.
like you sometimes in off season, people just need maintenance calories to grow, maybe a little bit above. So like maintenance calories plus a cheat meal. Like sometimes it is what it is. Like it's not, there's no perfect formula for like, oh well, once you get over this, it's like it's the danger zone or it's reckless or like and I'll be honest, there's no like you don't need a refeed. You don't. Like 90% of people who use them don't need them. So like for an athlete listening to their friend going through a hard diet doesn't need to chime in and be like, "Oh, well, you need a refeed. They got to refeed you soon." No, they don't. No, they don't. They can bury you. Like I promise you're gonna be okay. Like it's okay. I would much rather you be that than like constantly begging for more food and less cardio because like we're taking you into a place that is unhealthy
Yeah.
and making you perform there. And so that's why you have to do the things that we do. That's a little it is reckless and it is dangerous, but if you go to your doctor, like they're going to tell you the same thing. So yeah, like I'm not really going to listen to your doctor 3 weeks out because
Hmm.
everything I'm doing to you is unhealthy
Yeah.
and unhealthy, right?
Yeah. And it's like controlling it, right? I think it goes back to everything you said is the duration in which it's done. Because we'll dig me for, you know, 4, 5, 6 days, and then it'll be 3 or 4 days of no cardio, extra carbs. And then we'll dig me for 4, 5, 6 days. If it was digging straight for 6 weeks, probably a different conversation of the outcome, right? Because I think obviously it would negatively affect the look. But it's all everything that we talk about is always the duration in which it's done, right? If we have some sub 1,000 calorie days, that's fine within reason, as long as it's not sub 1,000 calorie months. That's when it's the problem,
Yeah.
right? That's when it becomes the issue. Um, but again, to the point is like I came to Alex with a goal, and I understand that this is the extreme of the extreme at the level I'm trying to be at. So therefore, I get to experience the extreme of the extreme, and that's my choosing. I don't care. Like I don't. I just don't. Um, would I love more food? Sure, but I'm not going to walk away from this and go, man, that refeed on Tuesday really made me feel good. If I don't win, right? Like that doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah, and so I guess the question was like, how much is too much for a first timer? It's going to be different. And that goes into like we talk about everybody's in their lane. Like there's plenty of times like I know I maybe can get like 4 or 5 days of struggling and like low food and high cardio out of someone before they break. So like I'm not going to send them into the depths of hell in terms of a deficit because I know they're going to break. So sometimes you have to pull back because well, they're going to just cheat on their diet anyway, or they're just not going to do it anyway. So like you kind of have to meet in the middle without telling them you're meeting in the middle. But as they progress as an athlete, then that's where it's different. And you can like people think I'm mean to Chris. Like people think that I put a lot of pressure on Chris and I do. But it's because of the level he's at. It's the same thing with Callie, same thing with Abby, same thing with Austin. Like when you get to um, that level of athlete. I can keep going. Candace, like all the people running for a pro card. Like you get to that level, and it's like I can put it on them that hard because they have something inside that can send them there. Like Me and Callie will argue over like her refeeds and her making her break from cardio. Like, because she doesn't want to do it. Like she doesn't like she's like, I can do more. I can do more. So sometimes you have to work on the opposite end. So while this person asking the questions like, wanting floaties as they swim in the deep end. Callie's like, no, dude, let me drown. And like, I'm gonna do the Navy SEAL tactic, and I'm just gonna bob up and down. So you got to know how to coach both. Um,
Hmm.
and so just how like I can't push the beginner as hard as I would want to push. You gotta go down in the deep end and get Callie and bring her back up to breathe some.
Yeah.
Um, so that's what it is. But I would rather a Callie 10 times out of 10 because like I can manage that and I don't have to teach them that work ethic.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't have to worry about the gas pedal, right? And I think that's where it's challenging, right? With first competitors, like I love getting to work with first timers, but a lot of it too is, I've had the conversations with people like, yeah, I could dig you harder, but muscle is a lot younger and fresher, and is it worth losing an extra pound of fat but losing 2 pounds of muscle, right, that you've worked so hard for, and then we ruin your look. And it's like there's a lot of variables that come into play that I take into consideration in working with first timers, but a lot of it is looking at this from the sake of efficacy and preservation. Because to me, your first show, your first season, we obviously want to check the box of successfully completing a show prep through and through and not slipping. um, and then placing first call outs, ideally winning classes. So that shows that we belong there. We should be there. And then that when you step off stage, I ask you if it was worth it. And if you want to do it again, you can say yes. Because you've shown fundamentally you can do it through the habits. Physically, visually, you've shown on stage that you are supposed to be doing it because you fall into the right competitor pool. And then mentally, you're willing to do it again. Whereas if I just murder you, I know so many people who've walked away from the sport because of that, especially the first time around. Because I remember my first prep, dude, when it got done, I was like, fuck. I was like, I don't know if I want to do this again, right? It was just the case of the matter. I didn't have the greatest experience with my first coach just because of that, I see the impact it had on me psychologically. So I never want to impede that on somebody else. That their potential was being hindered just because I pushed way too hard when it wasn't required in that moment.
Yeah. And you brought up a good point of the like sometimes, and you see this with guys and girls. Every guy wants striated glutes,
Yep.
every in the Christmas tree. Every girl wants the tie-ins, right? And so in abs. And so sometimes like a bikini girl like will look for their tie-ins until literally no, everything else is gone. And it's like, hey, that's not the criteria. It's not a get shredded contest. So you may have a six pack and tie-ins, but you have now conditioned yourself out of your class. And
Mhm.
you end up looking like the figure girl, but with the bikini girl muscle and no butt. And then it's like you just lost because you were chasing tie-ins. And so sometimes as a coach, we have to not diet them as hard because we don't have enough muscle. And it's like, hey, if I emaciate you, you lose all the shape and symmetry, which is what your division is based on. And
Mhm.
so as you get more muscle, they can be dieted harder, even though they may not have to. But like right now, you and Callie, I don't have to worry about losing muscle. I just don't. Like I could throw you a Triscuit and be like, there's your carbs for the day. You're not going to lose muscle. Like
Yeah.
it's just not happening. Um, but take a first timer or Austin or Riley who just competed. Had I tried to really hammer Austin's glutes, like Austin had glutes on the backside, on his side shots for sure, dug out in the hamstrings. Had I tried to have been greedy and gotten any more off of him, his whole look would have gone away. And it's
Yeah.
because he's so young and that tissue's so new. So like you have to look at it as like, okay, like that's you got to play that balance there. Same thing with Neely. I can't. Neely always wants his glutes in, always. So my brother, like you just need to be, you need more muscle, you need more maturity. Like I will lose everything to maybe get your glutes out, but then I just sacrificed everything. And it's
Yeah.
not, at the end of the day, it's bodybuilding. So
Yeah.
like you can have striated glutes, but if you're 150 pounds or 160 pounds to get there, you're gonna lose.
Yeah.
And you can't be like, well, I'm peeled, bro. Like you're small. Same and like same with
Yeah.
girls. Like, girls in a bikini division, like as much as we want to take the pictures of us bending over and we're looking at our butt, you don't hit that pose. When
Yeah.
you bend over that far to see your tie-ins, you don't. Like, and you're gonna lose the shape and the shelf of your glute, which is what they're really judging. If you saw junior nats, girls out of shape and girls in shape both run the first call out because they had that upper shelf on their glute. It is a glute
Hmm.
division through and through. So like
100%.
you can't lose your division criteria just because you feel the need to suffer.
Yeah. Dude, dude, my 2021 Lindenberg Classic, that's exactly the what I fell victim to. Was the coach I was with at the time was fixated on trying to get my glutes in, and I didn't have the tissue.
Hmm?
I mean, it just wasn't there. And so we over dieted me for like 3 weeks leading into that show. And I lost 12 pounds between two shows in 3 weeks. But if you look at the pictures, which I've shown you before, dude, I lost my back. I lost my shoulders. I lost my quads. I didn't have arms to begin with, but what I did, I fucking lost. And my glutes still weren't dug out from the back.
Yeah.
So it's like we were looking for something that he was looking for something that was not there, right? And the means of sacrificing everything else to achieve that. And that look, yeah, I won. There wasn't a lot of people there, to be completely open, but like, dude, I looked emaciated. I hated that look. Like I won that show, and it doesn't matter to me because I despised how I looked on stage because it wasn't correct. It was stringy. It was flat. It was everything. And so that's where I always go back to, especially with my first timers. Like we have to look at what we legitimately have and lean into our strengths. If you are shapely and full, I'm going to bring you in an adequate conditioning, but I'm not going to give up your shape and your fullness to achieve more if it's not needed, right? In the same sense of like AJ is a great example. AJ needs more tissue in his glutes. I got his glutes in from the side. I did not try to get him in from the back because when I do, he loses his quads. I was like, I'm not giving up your quads for a little bit more glute detail. We still won 2 overalls. So it's like, I digress. And that's where it comes down to, again, having a coach that looks at this from a different lens than just strictly body fat percentage in one muscle group, because that's just not, it's very narrow minded, in my opinion.
Yeah. 100%.
You got one high test cycles post show.
Yeah, so this was a somebody one of my clients had asked about like one of his friends like works with Justin Compton. They did like came out of post show and did like 1,200 milligrams of testosterone. All right. And like, hey, some guys are a high testosterone test his best cycle and I grew up in that camp too. I've done 1,200 milligrams of testosterone. All I noticed was just I had to take more antiestrogens and I had to take more blood pressure stuff. I didn't feel any better. My nose would bleed. It didn't really yield much more results. And so on the opposite end of the spectrum, you hear people like say that Jewett is like the low test guy. And it's like, no, like, so Jewett's idea and thinking is I'm going to put your test as high as I can get it without needing an AI,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because that's how much you can tolerate. I've seen plans with 190 milligrams a week of testosterone. I've seen plans with 950. I've seen plans with 1040. I've seen plans with 700, 450, 490, 320, like all over the place. But the goal is you don't want to have to take breast cancer drugs on top of all the other drugs you're taking in an off-season setting because all you're doing is you're just trying to take more to combat more and then you're like why not just set it and then fill whatever required milligram you need to grow with other drugs. All
Mm-hmm.
right, that's all Jewett's thinking is. It's still like it's not any less, so like where Compton would take that 1,200 milligrams of test. Jewett may take 490 of test and fill the rest with DHT derivatives.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what's going to yield more. I don't.
Yeah, it's hard to say because I never like I have all the respect in the world for Compton, first and foremost. I think me personally, I'm not a high test guy. I aromatize very easily. I look at it in the post show setting as especially if you are someone who, let's say, use diuretics in your peak week. I don't feel it's necessarily the safest route to run a shitload of tests immediately post show. From a blood pressure perspective, a renal health perspective, and just in general, you're just starting to muddy visuals coming out of show because now, I mean, 1,200 tests is going to yield quite a lot of fluid retention. I just don't know how it couldn't. So
Yeah.
now we're seeing a fluid rebound from diuretics, and then we're putting in 1,200 tests. So I'm going to guess 2 weeks post show, you're up 30 pounds,
Hmm.
realistically, depending on how much muscle mass you already have going into it. But that's way too high of a rate of gain immediately post show to take into consideration like heart and kidney health.
Yeah, and not to say that the guy can't and won't be jacked. He probably
Yeah.
will, and it
Yeah.
probably will work. And so I don't use the post show window to like explode. I use it with like, all right, let's pull our orals out. Let's keep whatever drugs we were using that's not trend, keep that in, and let's get the most because we're gonna grow. Let's get the most off the least. Let's keep our health markers in check. And that way we just put on 25 pounds post show on this little gear. We still have glute striations, we still have feathered quads, and then now our health markers are in check, so then we can grow again. My client Josh, he's put on 20 pounds in like 8 weeks. The only like, yeah, he just now doesn't have glute striations. He's doing, I don't know the exact numbers, but it's probably 300 tests and 300 masterons, something very simple. So like, imagine what's going to happen when I triple that or quadruple that for his off season. Obviously not all testosterone, but you get what I'm saying. Like he's only going to grow. But if my new start point's 1,200 milligrams, well, fuck, what else do I got to add on to that?
Yeah. And it's, dude, it's other logic too is like looking at PEDs in general, it should always be the game of less is more because the only thing that stops you from continuing a cycle is when side effects present themselves. That's really it, right? Like theoretically, if you pick an adequate dosage, you could run it for almost as long as you want, as long as you're monitoring your health accordingly throughout. And to me, that yields more growth over time because your body can only grow so much anyway. So if I slam 1,200 milligrams of test and I can only survive on it for 5 weeks, I'm only going to grow so much in that 5 weeks, anyways. But if I lower those dosages and expanded the duration that I was on it without running into side effects, then I can get a yield a lot more over time. It's like, dude, it's like if you try to just slam nitrous in your car everywhere you went, the engine's going to explode.
Yeah, and like we don't come out of a prep and just start doing drop sets and rest pause sets and training. Why? Because our body's going to grow off of very little stimulus because it's primed and ready to grow. So again, I'm not saying like don't go do high test. Like you may think that like or you may find that yeah, you can tolerate 900 milligrams testosterone. By all means, take it. Like
Mhm.
it's not my decision, but while you can find anecdotal evidence on why 1,200 milligrams of test post show works, I can find you why 300 test and 300 masteron works the exact same, gain 22 pounds with the same condition. So like, but that's not to say my way's right, your way's wrong. My way's it's just saying like, hey, both of this can work. What are you comfortable doing?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's the biggest thing because, again, like anecdotally, we could look at that individual and they might be great. Their blood work might come back clean. Like there are anomalies like that. I just like the idea, especially post show, like you were saying, is extending this runway as long as we possibly can. Because if we can grow off of just food and novel training stimulus for X amount of weeks, your body's in a healthier position. It's going to be more willing to grow. Then we now have options and tools that we can use once progress begins to stall a little bit. Okay, cool. Now we can put in a DHT derivative. Okay, now we can put in insulin. We can put in whatever and continue to just titrate things up as the body requires it. But for me personally, dude, I just like I can't go over 500 tests or it's just gross. It's just
Yeah.
ugly because then I'm taking fucking 8x every other day. I'm taking telmisartan. I'm taking, a statin. Like there's just too much where it's like this doesn't need to always be a game of additions. Like we can subtract, and that's actually ideal.
Yeah, and then you run into people who like, yeah, they've been competing for 10 years and they tolerate a lot of drugs. So it's like,
Hmm.
okay, well, maybe, rather than taking 700 tests and doing a milligram of Remedex 3 times a week, let's bring their test down to 350, pull their Remedex out, and then let's triple their other drugs going in to make up for that, right? So like they're still getting more overall drugs, but it's like what's the ones with the least amount of side effects?
Hmm.
And that's the thinking behind John's PED modules is it's not like he's not saying don't take EQ or don't run high tests. He's just like, how can I use these the safest way for the longest period of time? And that's why you see John going from a push phase to a contest phase within 2 weeks. And his drugs don't really take much change. Or that's why you see people running 1,800 milligrams of Masteron. It's because, like, yeah, that's what works for them, but their test is at 290 and
Hmm.
they're grooving. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that.
Yeah. I'm definitely a lower test, higher DHT guy personally. And I found in the guys that I've utilized that protocol with, I've seen a lot more success too. Again, it's anecdotal. I don't think like there's a right or a wrong way. I just have found a way that I think works incredibly well. I think it's obviously based off of John's teaching. Um, Extra things athletes can do to make a coach's life easier.
Oh, what have I been dealing with this week? We've talked about like communication channels, like, um so obviously like check in on your check-in day, communicate during allotted business hours. And I say it all the time, man, just communicate. Just let us know what's going on. Hey, if tilapia upset your stomach yesterday, just tell me. Just tell
Mhm.
me. Don't wait. If we're 4 weeks out, don't wait 7 days, to tell me. Like tell
Yeah,
me then. At the same time, don't tell me at midnight, let me
yeah,
know during normal reasonable hours. Um, I think, your effort as a client, like, are you doing everything you can, right? Like, are you giving it your all? And then also just like having understanding for us that like while we do like we do give you 100% all the time, like just understand that sometimes someone else is also getting our 100% and someone else is also getting our 100%, and just like I don't want to say be patient, but like just be
yeah,
understanding like we have a big ship to drive, and like yeah, I don't deal with that really much, but like it's kind of why we have systems in play and check-in times in play and all that of just like or if I'm it's funny, we'll go to shows and we always joke about like all the nonsense that's going to come up on show weekends. That's like, it's like, man, like my phone was silent on Wednesday, but I'll get to a show on Friday and it's just like, do-do-do-do-do-do-do. And it's like, man, where was this, like 2 days ago? Or like, why are we just telling me now? Or like, um, and that's one thing I'm not good, like, because people be like, oh, I know you're busy, so just respond whenever. My anxiety doesn't do that. I'm
no,
responding. I'm responding right then,
yeah,
because like I owe you. Like I have a job. Like your goal is my goal. So like I have a job to do. So if you contact me, I'm going to reply, and I'm going. So like if you genuinely are like I'm not going to bother them, then just don't bother us to quote bother us. And I don't even like saying that.
yeah,
Because I'll say this, I noticed the last 2 weeks, everyone on my team was so supportive of everyone who competed, from the girls that they've never met out of state to Austin to my people at Junior Nats. I have the most supportive roster, and you guys listening, y'all are like, it blows my mind sometimes how like genuine y'all are when you're like, you're fine, coach. Like, get back to me whenever. Like it's truly amazing like how understanding y'all are. So like when I'm saying this, like I'm just I guess reiterating or like emphasizing like how great that is to have that I can go to a show and your check-in won't get finished till the next day and no one bats an eye. They're all
Yeah.
like, "Oh, enough about me. Congratulations." Like they don't want to talk about them. They want to talk about the team. And that's like it's the coolest thing, man.
Yeah, dude. I think I mean I think you really touched on all the points that come to mind to me. I think the biggest one is consideration and grace, right? Like that goes a long way, I think, for both of us, um, especially on show weekends, because I do have a lot of people who check in Fridays and Saturdays for me. And a lot of my people know that when you compete, you get my undevoted attention from the minute peak week starts until Monday morning, realistically. Like we are together through and through, and I want to give that to every athlete that comes through, right? Like that's my requirement to myself is I'm going to see this through. I will prep your meal. I don't give a shit, right? Like I am the soccer mom. But with that understanding is that person is my sole priority in that moment, right? As much as I want, and I hope that I do, I want every athlete to feel like I'm the only athlete that I'm working with. But in reality, they're not. I work with a lot of people, and I'm very fortunate I get to do so. So just leading with the hey man, no worries, get back to me when you can. I'm going to get back to you as quick as I can for me and for you, but knowing that there's not pressure or like more anxiety being built because it's prefaced helps me a ton, right? Because I'm already trying to do 14 things at once. Then just like, hey man, when you get a chance, let me know. I won't get to you right then and there regardless. Um, I think just having patience and grace again goes a really long way. Like those are the people that like I bend over backwards for. Even like again, if they're like, "Hey man, don't want to bother you," I'm like, "You're not a bother." But I appreciate you like prefacing that and knowing that I'm busy at a show weekend. I'm still going to get back to you because you're still a priority to me, no matter what. Um, I think it's really it, man. I think going back to like communication is obviously ideal is huge. I think it's the biggest part of this whole process. But knowing the wins and the wheres and when it's appropriate, what time it's appropriate, because to your point, like I want to know all of these things, the good, bad, and ugly, how the plan can be better, the process can be better, how I can be better, not at 10 p.m. at night when I'm trying to wind down for the day, not through 7 text messages back to back to back to back. Like there's should be some professionalism in that communication, in my opinion. Um, and ultimately, like I've got a really good group right now that doesn't really fall into that category. Which again, I'm eternally grateful for all my people. But it's those are, I think, the biggest things. I would say too. Like I think this sport is a lot about self mastery, and so I think too, like I love the clients who I can tell like to do their homework and like to pour into this, right? They're listening to our podcast, they're listening to other podcasts, they're researching, they're trying to learn new ideas. Like that to me, I think helps from a coaching perspective because there's so much that has to be taught in this process or should be taught in this process, excuse me. But it can only happen when we've learned the first. It's like anything else. Like, dude, you got to graduate kindergarten to go to first grade, and so on and so forth. We can't graduate kindergarten and go get our PhD the next week. Like, there is a pecking order in how this needs to be done. But when you have an athlete who's going out and learning and researching, or hey, this recipe, or hey, this workout, or hey, this whatever, they're kind of helping speed along their own process within self mastery, but it provides me a sense of that they have reliability that whatever I choose to pour into them from an educational perspective, they will receive and utilize. Because there's nothing more aggravating than like teaching and it not being received or utilized, right? It's like, well, why did I waste my time to try to teach you this to make you better if you're not willing to accept, absorb, and then apply?
Yeah. Yeah, I could counter argument that though and be like, don't go research a bunch of stuff and then ask me why we're not doing it.
Well,
So
yes, there's that. Yeah, there is that.
yeah, but again, yes, and like obviously within the sport we could find a reason to counter argument everything, right?
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I think that and like just not overthinking things. Like, if I say I pulled something out and it's not pulled out, like I'd be like, hey, I don't know if the diet updated yet, or what meal did you pull it out of, or like little things like that. It's just like it all goes into communication. But I do this thing, man, like after show weekends, I like to I don't it's a weird thing I like to do. I almost like to keep working just to prove that like I'm the best. I'm like I want my athletes to be like, "Oh my God, it's 9:30 at night and coach just did my update while he has two people he's prepping for tomorrow or
Yeah.
he just got back up." Like it's some like sick thing in me that like I like that because I'm
Yeah.
like nobody's like I want them so much to feel like I got them that like yeah, that's what I want. Like, dude, I remember doing check-ins on my birthday, and like clients were like, after they saw my birthday like repost, they were like, "What are you doing? Like, stop working." And I was like, I just like, I almost want to prove a point that like I'm the man when it comes to that.
Yeah. No, I get that, man. I go through, it depends if I'm taking my Adderall prescription. If it's in, I'll be right there with you. But if it's not, dude, I go back and forth because again, it's like to me, if I give you an update Saturday night at 11 o'clock, what difference is going to make if I give it to you Sunday morning at 6 a.m.? Right? Like that's me trying to practice a little bit more work life balance because I do burn myself out rather quickly. That's just my again. There's your way is your way, and my way is my way. I don't think either's wrong or right.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, guys. I will like I'm pretty close to burning myself out at times. So like it's but and I'll say this, I never do it like so Saturday when we got back from Junior Nats, I did a few updates that night and as I start to feel like you just feel it where I don't want to say you're not excited, but I'm not having fun doing the updates, I stop. I'm like, okay, that's where like I'm gonna give poor service. And so
Yeah.
you have to find that line of like fast turnaround time and poor service. So I have some clients who I know are like very like where's coach? And I remember being an athlete too. Like if I send a check-in, I would refresh my email 100 times waiting for it. So I
Yeah.
know what that's like. And so I know if I'm going to be late and I know it's an athlete like that, I'll message them, "Hey, I just want to let you know your update's going to come tomorrow. I'm doing this right now because like, blah blah blah. I just want to give you a good update." But I have some who like they don't need much from me. They don't need the voiceovers and voice notes and all that. Like I can just bang it out and like they're good, I'm good. I know what I'm doing and they know how I talk. So but yes, you can't sacrifice the quality just for the time.
I think it's yeah. That was the point I was hoping my brain would get to, and it didn't. Is like I always tell people, I'm never gonna rush through an update. I'm never gonna cookie cutter it. I'm never gonna cut a corner on it. So for me, I want to make sure it's like that everything is the most optimal place that it can be so I can just focus and really pour into each check-in as I do it, right? So it's like I'm very methodical about what that looks like. And again, it's just like a very type A part of me. Like I don't dude, it's annoying as hell, but like I can't do updates if I know that I need to sweep the floor, right? Like I can't, you know what I mean? So it's like when it's everything else going on, it's like, dude, I just know I'm going to be focused elsewhere, and that's not fair to them, right? When it's like I can just take a little bit extra time and actually give a quality update rather than just being like, hey, no changes because I'm burnt out, tired, and don't want to think. Like I'm never going to do that to myself.
Yeah, and I've noticed too, like so obviously, peak show season, um, I'll be doing a lot of updates like you, like a lot of my updates are Fridays and Saturdays. And so that's usually travel days or locked in on show days. And so when I am gone, I'm not the most, I would say I'm not the most personable on those on travel weekends.
Mhm.
But what I try to do is when I come back, either before I've left for the travel, I try to really be personable on the
Mhm.
check-in and really like give them some quality time, some one-on-one, like back and forth, shoot the shit. Because I know I'm not going to be the next one. And then when I come back, I try to do it again.
Yeah.
And it's more of like and it's not like I feel obligated to or whatever. It's just like I know I'm not going to be my absolute best in terms of like personable, relatable, that type stuff on the next one. I know mentally it's probably going to be the best decision making I ever have because I'm locked in on peak week calls. but I try to balance both. And so clients listening, you guys are probably making note of that. And again, a lot of you guys are very understanding and just excited to watch the team compete. But that is something that I do try to give y'all is like, hey, I am going to make up for it if I'm not like super, laughing, cutting up. I'm just kind of straight to the point this week.
Yeah, that makes sense, man. Um, we got some rapid fire questions. You ready?
Yep.
People starting a GoFundMe for show prep.
I think it's just lame, man. Yeah, I just think it's
Yeah.
lame. Yeah, like why? Like, who are you?
Like why? Yeah, it's like why should I give you money for something you're choosing to do, right? And especially like I hate to make it this way, but it's like GoFundMe was started for people like experiencing tragedies. I'm more liable to give money to someone I know who has cancer than I am to be like, oh, you're choosing to do a show? Get your money up. Like, I hate to be a dick about it, but it's the reality. It's like, this is a choice. This is expensive. We've talked about it before. There's plenty of resources out there to explain the financial cost of a show prep. You can prepare for that. We've talked about before savings account ahead of time in your off season. Put some money away, get a side hustle. There's a million things you can do, but grifting is not like if you were that strapped for cash to pay for your registration and show fees, how are you affording to do all the other things that involve a show prep?
Yeah, like I don't understand that. Like because you should be in a spot financially. I'm not saying you need to be like crazy well off, but you should be in a spot financially where doing the prep is not going to hinder your daily life. And so like
Yeah,
yes, that does include travel expenses and hotels and extra heels and whatever else, tanning. Like the worst, and I've done it, like I've gone to a show and like barely gotten by and like milked, like stretched out some of my gear, and like you can't really go somewhere that nice afterwards to eat, and like it's not the way to do it.
it's
if
not
you're in,
fun.
if you're in that spot, why are you there? Like, why are you competing even if you're a pro? Like outside of Sergio Oliva Jr., where he spent his last dollar to get to New York and he won New York and he won the prize money. Like, if you're not that, like, like, who are you? Like, go get a job, go get a sponsorship, go, like, I'm selling my feet before I get a GoFundMe to
100%.
compete at a bodybuilding show.
Especially a regional show. It's again, it goes back to it's like, dude, just save your money and look at this from like a responsible perspective. If you know it costs fucking 3 grand or whatever, $1,500 a month on average to show prep, look at your finances, get them set away so at least you have some cost of living to compensate for it. But again, like, or just take more time away from stage and improve more because you probably need to anyways. We all need to.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with like not competing because your finances aren't in a good spot. It's the
Mhm.
smartest thing you could do.
100%.
The smartest thing, because it's like you're really gonna go set yourself back on so many ways when like you could take that money and like I don't know, go do something, like go, put it, you probably need something fixed in your car, or maybe you want to, take someone out to eat, whether it be a significant other or a daughter or a son or like, something. It's like, man, like you could do so much more with that much money. Go on a vacation, like do something, like, but just to go and compete at a local regional show or even a pro show, if you're not like getting paid by sponsors, like that blows my mind.
Because best case scenario, you win and you're in debt. Worst case scenario, you lose and you're in debt. Either way, you're in debt
Yeah.
for my choice. Like it's a decision that you're making. Shows splitting between men and women, like having the men compete AM and women compete PM. What are your thoughts?
I think it's great. I liked how Junior Nats was. They have guys on Friday, girls on Saturday. I think it's awesome. Um, I mean, hell, they get double the ticket, income usually. It's just nice knowing when the guys are going to be on and when the girls are going to be on, because like you can have their body ready. Like it was so nice knowing battle starts at 9, bodybuilding's first. Austin needs to be ready by 9. Like that makes my job so much easier. It is a
Mhm.
nightmare when you have bodybuilding at the end. You got to wait through intermission, you got to wait through bikini, you got to wait through fit model, and then finally bodybuilding can come out. And it's like, oh my God, like, same thing with North Americans. You have a bikini girl, North Americans, they're not on until 3:30 in the afternoon. I at least know that
Yeah,
so I can prepare. So like I don't even know if it's so much like splitting them up, which yes, I'm all for, but I'm just all for knowing when my athletes are going to be on stage within a ballpark estimate.
absolutely. I agree completely. Um, People who don't show up to finals at a national show.
Good. Like, why not? Like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna just walk out there and raise your hand and like hit one pose and walk off stage? Like, I ain't going back. If I'm not in the top 10, bye. Like, what's the point? They don't want you there anyway. Like,
Yeah,
you may
I think
have
it's a.
your agreement. I
I
don't.
think I think it's a respect thing, right? Like I had to pay my dues and do that shit, but ultimately, like, dude, you get disqualified for that too. So it's like you're taking dead last or tied for last at that point, regardless of your placing, which at that point doesn't make a whole lot of difference. I just think it's not the best um, sportsmanship.
Yeah, I get that. But yeah, I remember like Brandon Mims, he did USA's and we got like eighth, and we didn't go back for finals because it's like, why? That was back when it was a 2-day show, and like it,
Yay.
it's just really like, I mean, if you're not in the top five, you're not in the first call out. Like if you're in the top 10, yeah, we're going. We're 12 through 17, 18. I don't care. Like if
Yeah.
you want to go, cool. I'm not going to make you. But if it's a local show and you don't go to finals, which a guy did it at Battle, he didn't show up to finals.
Ooh.
Um, you're lame.
Yeah, that's really lame.
Yeah, like that's where I'm like, be a be a good sport, be an athlete, smile, wave, even if you don't agree with your placing, whatever. But yeah, you can't like nationals to me is different because it's a long day, it's a long time. Like, um, you know, it's like I get it. But yeah, regional local show, like you better go to finals. You're a loser if you didn't.
Yeah, that's really awkward. I didn't know that happened. That's super embarrassing for whoever did that. And it's also like that's a pretty easy way to piss off everybody involved in running that show. Because
Yeah.
again, it's just super disrespectful. Um, yeah, that's wild. Well, guys, we got some exciting news coming on Friday, so be on the lookout for that. We won't say it just yet. Got anything else to add, Alex?
Man, that's it. Just like, yeah, it's cool, man, being at Junior Nats, being at Battle, and people are like, "Hey, you're from the coaches union." Like, that's cool. Like, it's usually like, "Oh, you're with J3U," but now it's like from the podcast. So that's really neat. Yeah, I think it's not as exciting as news of you, but I'll be with Pride Foods starting the end of this week. So
Fuck yeah, dude.
everybody's about to get cream of rice in their plans. So yeah, except for Chris because he hates it, but.
I'll learn to love it. I'll buy a bag.
They have some nut butters, which is cool. So in your off season, you can eat it. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
You get
Yeah.
4 grams of fat right now a day, but
Yeah. Dude, I miss almond butter so much.
yeah. I was thinking about you last night. I got home from practice and I ate like 420 grams of rice and like 10 ounces of beef, and I was just like, oh, I'm sorry, Chris. Like I felt bad for you.
Yeah, no, I would feel bad for me too. Dude, that's all I want. Like, I'm not even craving anything crazy. Because I think the cheat meal you gave me just like fucked up my stomach so bad that I never want to do that again.
Hmm.
Um,
That's something good to touch on real quick. Like, so it was time for you to like we did your high days, but before we did your high days, I let you have a free meal because like I knew we were in shape, and it was just like, all right, let's get one more in us. And I just told you just eat whatever. And like I genuinely meant it as I was like, I want him to feel what you feel now. And you didn't even eat that bad, but like I just didn't want to put a governor on it because sometimes I feel like when people are dieting, they start thinking of things that like it's not even they really don't even want to eat. So like, had you not been able to scratch that itch, it would have been fucking with you these last few weeks. But that's why I was like, yeah, man, just go do whatever. Like, just eat.
Yeah, I mean, it was glorious in the moment, but then an hour later, I was like, oh my God, what did I do? And the itch was scratched. Now I just crave like whole eggs, red meat, and oatmeal. That's really all I care about right now. That's what I'm just like ever fixated on currently. So, yeah.
I think that 65 grams of oats is much better than like 100 grams of rice. Like I
Oh,
think,
100%.
yeah, I think oats is just a bit more filling. So,
Dude, I've made it into two bowls. Okay. What I've what I do, because I get 100 grams of strawberries too, guys. That's all my carbs for the day. Is I take 32 grams in one bowl and I take 33 in the other, and I water the hell out of it and then microwave it. And I do one of them with MRE banana bread, MRE light. I wish it was MRE, and then one chocolate. And I just have two bowls of. I'm like, I finished one. I'm like, wow, I get a whole another bowl of oatmeal. This is crazy. And then I feel good for 6 minutes, and then it's back in the trenches. And yeah, dude, it's fucking awesome.
that's how you know you're in it, man. That's how you know you're in it. And then come August, you're gonna try that meal again. You're like, this is trash. But
Oh, dude,
but for right now, it's the greatest thing on earth. So
yeah, dude, I gotta like put on like I turn off the TV and I just stare at it. I'm like, I need to focus for like 3 minutes. I try to make it last. I lick the bowl and then and then the second it's done, I'm like, well, I'll see you tomorrow. And
yeah,
that's
there's,
it.
there's just no good mood after that.
Nah, dude, it just goes downhill from there. So today was brought to you by Adderall. My prescription's back on track. So I can actually get through the week. But yeah, man, I'm excited, dude. I feel really good about where we're at for like the first time in my career. So that's super sick.
Yeah.
So it'll be
No problem.
fun. But anyways, thank you guys for listening. If you are watching on YouTube, please give us a thumbs up, like, comment, share, and subscribe. If you're listening on Spotify, if you leave us a 5-star review, if you can share with a friend, we'd really, really appreciate it. Like I said, we're going to have some exciting news rolling out Friday on my Instagram, and then we'll have some more rolling out on next week's episode. So until next time, thank you for listening to the Coaches Union.